Hey, so I'm normally climbing trees in order to cut them down, but today I'm doing something a little different involving these. I'm basically gonna do this, but on a larger scale. Got these little battery lights inside that are remote controlled. I'm using fishing line to string them up into the tree, and we'll see how it goes. These are the lights right here. We ordered them from Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. This one doesn't want to go on. There we go. I've also reserved a lift for this, but it's not available till 12 noon today, so I'm getting a head start by trying to climb the tree. I've got all the vehicles out of the way, and I've got all the pumpkins there tied together with a single piece of fishing line. The lights are already inside the pumpkins, and here I haul the pumpkins up into the tree and I tie them off for access. My little sister's in town from Denver, Colorado. That's her. She just pulled up. She is a rock climber, and I am going to use her to help me with this, because we're also going to be wrapping lights around this tree and up several of the main branches, and that's going to be a two-person job. So I think I'll use her in the lift, and I'll climb up into the tree and climb out onto the limbs and help her maneuver the lights around some of the bigger limbs and the main trunk of the tree. And the first few pumpkins start finding their forever home. I realize now that this will be a bit of a technical challenge because as I hang pumpkins, that's a place that the lift can't go anymore. So it's turning into a maze of fishing line up here. Lots of the neighbors started coming over and watching, and this neighbor brought their young child over, who's very interested in all things mechanical. And I was super glad about that because we are new to the neighborhood, and doing this helped us meet a lot of our neighbors, who are all very friendly. So if you do move into a new neighborhood and you haven't met any of your neighbors but you want to, maybe rather than bringing brownies door to door, you can rent a lift and hang pumpkins from your tree. The reaction from the neighbors actually seemed to be half impressed and half, I can't believe you're going through this much effort for this. And not only this, but there's the taking down process too, which admittedly I didn't think much about while I was doing this. But now as I'm watching this and Halloween approaches, I'm gonna have to take all this down. And here we start getting the lights strung up, and I move the lift to access the other side of the tree. I did not hang these lights properly. It wasn't until after this that I learned how professional holiday decorators hang Christmas lights on trees. And let's just say it isn't like this. Because I didn't secure them to the tree, I just wrapped them what I thought was tightly around the tree in such a way that they wouldn't slide down. But I can tell you after weeks later, they have slid down in several areas, and I should have secured them with staples or some similar thing to the tree. And I did not evenly space them like some professionals would have, which would look really nice. And also I used several strings of lights independently on the several limbs of this tree that are all joined at a power box up in the union, the first union of this tree, which is a pretty inefficient way to do it because I have a friend who hangs these professionally during the holiday season, and he connects all the strands end to end so they turn into one single long strand that when he gets to a limb, he runs it out onto the limb and then circles or spirals back on that same limb, bringing him back to the main trunk of the tree. This effort was almost ruined by me because as I was descending after the lights were all hung up, I stepped on one of the wires somewhere and severed it. So when we plugged everything in on the ground, several of the strings were not working. Luckily, the part of the wire that was severed was fairly easy to find, and I was able to fix it, and here is the result. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more tree climbing content, and I'll see you in the next one.